it's Joe, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I am going to do a review on a story called There Will Be Brawl. Now, many of you may have heard of it, and many of you may not have. It's a story that was created by, well, obviously some people. I don't know the specifics behind that. But it was produced in 2009, and I guess it became popular the next year. But here in 2014, I haven't really heard much about it. I actually found out about it by Pinterest, as someone had up a picture of one of their creators and had their description of their role in the project of There Will Be Brawl. But it is a murder detective drama, all that good shit. It's definitely okay. Starting off with the pros, getting a more organized sense of idea of what I'm going to say here. It is well written. A lot of love definitely went into the project. People that gave a shit about what they were doing definitely made There Will Be Brawl. Despite the play on words of its namesake of There Will Be Blood, which is a movie that I saw and that it's definitely a great movie. It deserves every piece of constructive and positive criticism that it got. Not something necessarily on my highly rewatchable, whatever list. But I will give credit where it's due. There Will Be Blood is a great movie, and it is nothing like There Will Be Blood. It has something to do with not gang. It's mafia violence based, and all the things that come with that. If you've ever seen anything mafia themed, like the deterioration of the community and sex and stuff like that. It's definitely a great project, and big kudos to everyone on the team that had a hand in it. It's a great story with a great plot, and it's well fleshed out. It is not a disappointment for anyone who likes that kind of theme and genre, definitely. If you like that, I definitely suggest seeing There Will Be Brawl. My criticisms lie mostly in personal, seeing as how it's a well put together project. Being that there's spoilers. Kirby being a villain doesn't really sit well with me. Now he's not like, I guess he's like the villain in a previous story that takes place that has an effect on how things play out and how people react to him now. But as the story goes on, he's more of an anti-hero. But and I also didn't like for the characters that weren't there. Like, it was made in '09, but Little Mac was there, so apparently he has been long planned to be on the next roster anyway. But Mega Man wasn't there, Sonic wasn't there, Lucario, Pikachu, Rob, which would have all been characters that I like to see in there. And back to the character roles that I didn't really care for. Samus being a prostitute is just fucking ridiculous, but I guess that comes with the genre. Zelda, Meta Knight, once again, Meta Knight is visible, but he gets no love. And as a Meta Knight fan, that's like, what the fuck, you know? And then Kirby being one of, like, the mastermind villains is like, okay, so in Meta Knight's Revenge, he is hell-bent on enslaving Dreamland because he doesn't like how lazy they are, and he basically plans on turning Dreamland into a brainwashed, slave-driven society and his first order of business is to take out their main hero, being Kirby. And then he just knows that if he causes enough trouble to get noticed, which doesn't take much, in a big-ass ship, Kirby will come to him, so he doesn't even go after Kirby. And it worked, but that's, Kirby being the mastermind villain is kind of like the big what the fuck. And Meta Knight just gets, like, the fade into obscurity type of thing. Like, Meta Knight is one of the many in this series that gets killed. There's a lot of death in the series. And it's like, he kind of got that obscure death because, and like I said, the spoilers, if you want to go see it, just based on the title and it's based on Super Smash Brothers alone, go see it before you hear any more of this, because I'm going to spoil the shit out of it. Kirby, what happens is Meta Knight is one of the prison guards, and Kirby is in the prison, but something happens and it opens the cells and let all the prisoners out. And Meta Knight gets between Kirby and escaping, and then it said that Meta Knight killed Kirby and then left the police force because that was his only reason for being there. And then Kirby comes in wearing Meta Knight's face. Obviously he killed Meta Knight. I don't know how the fuck he killed Meta Knight when Meta Knight is like fucking swordsman. And Kirby just has his bare fucking hands. Not even hands, nubs. They made him like a master villain, but they didn't make him like mature past his baby form that we're all familiar with. So he just has little nubs. But somehow he killed it. And the thing about Kirby is he doesn't inhale one person. Or else we don't see it. I didn't, let me be perfectly honest with you, I watched episode 1 and then skimmed over episode 2 and 3 as I read the IMDb or whatever that is website as the summaries of the progression of the story of what happens. And there is no talk of Kirby inhaling anything. Kirby in this has like sharp teeth. So apparently he like rips and chews with these teeth. He doesn't have his inhale ability in any sort of depiction of it. Kirby's basically Hannibal, but with sharp teeth and a freakish body. But, and the thing about Kirby being called a cannibal when he ate no one of his own species is weird too. But I guess that was just for the sake of using a word that would be worth shock value, because we all know what Kirby does. Kirby pretty much, I mean, you could look at, there are plenty of people who look at it on the side of Kirby is eating things, but it's like, looking at it on the scientific side, Kirby is eating everything that is lower than him on the food chain. Calling Kirby grotesque for eating these other things is like calling a lion grotesque for eating a gazelle and calling a gazelle grotesque for eating grass, because that's just how the food chain works. So we all know what Kirby is. It's just, goddamn, why did Meta Knight get no love? He was there, but it's kind of like the same thing a lot of people do to Meta Knight. He's there, but who gives a fuck, And I'm gonna answer that question. I give a fuck. I give a fuck about Meta Knight. He's one of my most favoriteest characters ever. And I just hate the way he is something that always has to have an obscurity to it. But I guess it goes along with his character because, well, aside from the position he took in Meta Knight's Revenge, he's always had some kind of obscure role. Like, Meta Knight was off doing his own thing. Like in the Mirror one. Meta Knight was doing his own thing, and something happened, and then Dark Meta Knight came out, and then Kirby steps in, and that's what happens. But it's not that obscure, because you know what happened to Meta Knight. But it's like, okay. for the record, I did click on There Will Be Brawl because I was expecting it to be like There Will Be Blood because of its play on words namesake. And that wasn't what I got. And for the sake of story, it's great, but for the sake of what I was expecting, of course I was disappointed. But and there are just after I said Meta Knight, I just lost all the other points that I had. The team didn't do, from what I could tell, the team didn't do that much. Coming from someone who only watched the first episode and skimmed the other two, there wasn't that much special effects. I did see some pictures of how things went, and they did what they could. That's for sure. The makeup is great. The costumes are great. Of course, when you go into big round objects like Meta Knight and Kirby, things are going to get a little wanky, but they did their best, and they definitely conveyed the characters that they wanted. And I guess that's why Lucario and the other ones I mentioned weren't there. But Mewtwo is quote-unquote there. He's kind of obscure too. He gets mentioned, but then he dies, and they don't really show Mewtwo like there. But they do show Dedede, because he is the closest human-looking thing that would be involved with the incident that happened with Kirby. And it's a guy with blue makeup and a yellow thing on his face, and that's good. I mean, shit, it's not like I could do better. But, I mean, there are a lot of personal points that were disappointing to me, but, oh, and Link was ugly. But, and I didn't really care too much for Pokemon Trainer's role, because he was like that kid that knows too much in a way, and then the prostitute Samus convinces him to go home, and then he goes home, and then he dies. Like, there's a lot of senseless death going on, but it's all for the depth of the story. And of course, nothing's perfect. But if you liked There Will Be Brawl, that's great. If you think that There Will Be Brawl is something that you're interested in, because it has very in-depth, it's very graphic, and I don't just mean that in the sense of violence and sex. I mean it's very great. The story will get you, and it's short, and it is complete. That's the main thing. There's a lot of stuff floating around the internet that does not get completed, and even in life, there's TV shows and book series and movies and stuff that don't get completed or don't get their sequels that they were hinting to or whatever. But this is not only short, it is complete. So if you want to watch something that you know that you will get a resolve to instead of just being left hanging, I also suggest it, or I suggest it even more, because it started in 09 to 10, and it's 14, so even if it took them a while, it would be done now. But I think from what I saw, I think it got released within like short intervals of time or something, I don't know. But it's done now, whatever. And the characters do get a resolve for the most part of what I could tell by the summaries. And that's how I feel about There Will Be Brawl. Happy Bisexual Health Awareness Month, and treat each other well, and I'll see y'all later.